Alright, there's always multiple sides to a story, so I'm gonna tell you mine. When you think of a small town, some people came up with the most stereotypical answers, such as like farms, isolation, everyone knows everyone, which is true, and some quiet areas, and some responses were just too ridiculous even to explain. But although most of those stereotypes do fit the category to some extent, a few people would consider a small town, as I would also consider it, a hellhole. And when I'm referring to a hellhole, I'm not stating that every small town is Satan's playground, but living in an isolated and tight community isn't always as beautiful as it seems. I'm not saying that my life was terrible back home. I had a loving family who would do almost anything for me. I took as many opportunities as I could to be with people. I did show choir, theater. I was head of my own student-run community service club, student council. I even was homecoming king. Which doesn't even matter when you graduate, but it was a symbol that showed how well respected I was within the community. And unfortunately, not much I did made me feel like I even belonged. My small town consisted of many social standards that we had to live up to, and one of them was not being gay. And since I was considered such a role model for younger children, I was worried that if I told people about my sexuality, that people would lose respect for me. And I lived in a lifestyle that was so much like a stereotypical small town movie. Every Sunday, everyone attended church. The cheerleaders were popular, the jocks were praised, and nerds were nerds, but the real question for me was, where would I fit in if people knew? If people knew about me? I mean, today's world has gone through a revolution of promoting gay rights, but for some weird reason, small towns just have a trouble conforming with the bigger cities' ways of accepting people. And for instance, I would walk down the halls and hear people say, "Hey, fag," or "Dude, that's so gay," and it's so aggravating. I remember when I was with all my friends at a lunch table and I was telling a story about a kid named Justin Auberg who, after he was being ridiculed for being gay, he committed suicide. And my friend looked at me and he said, "Well, people like him don't belong here, and frankly, he just deserved to die." And you know, these are people that I associate with every day, so how am I expected to express myself when I'm being belittled in front of my face? I was terrified, and you know, I also realized that I wasn't alone. My good friend Jacob came out to me as gay, but once suspicion was heard in my community, all my friends would start treating him completely different, as if he was like some disease. And you know, I thought to myself that I would be subjected to the same type of treatment if I told people about me, so I just kept myself shut, and I hid from everyone. One day, the gossip and discrimination got so bad that my friend called me at 3 o'clock in the morning, and he called me because he wanted to commit suicide. And you know, it's devastating to think that people would be subjected to such harsh treatment that they would rather take out their own lives than to deal with it. We talked it out, but you know, his self-worth and my own just kept on having that struggle. Luckily, we both graduated, and we moved to a bigger city, which I thank God for so much every day. For some reason, when I came to college, I felt all those pressures of my town's social stigma was lifted off my shoulders, and I had a fresh new start. My friend found programs and communities in the city that was supportive of our sexuality. In the city, I was able to surround myself with people who loved me for who I was, but not what I was. People accepted me, cared for me for every aspect of who I was. And finally, I feel comfortable to love someone as much as they can love me.